Millionaire father's heartwarming café visit. Incredible moment when Waitress revealed sign language to her mother. The autumn air was crisp as Tom Mitchell, a self-made millionaire, stepped into a bustling downtown café. The sight of the brick buildings around him felt like a warm embrace from his childhood, reminding him of Saturday mornings flipping pancakes with his mother. As he walked inside, the thick scent of fresh coffee wafted through the air, mingling with laughter and chatter. He watched as a flurry of activity unfolded. A young waitress, Sarah, moved among the tables, effortlessly managing the chaos with a bright smile. Her hands danced in sign language, communicating with her hearing-impaired mother, who sat nearby, savoring her coffee. Tom's heart raced with nostalgia, yet under the surface lay an unsettling weight. He had spent years lost in the high-pressure corporate game, far from the familial bonds that shaped his upbringing. He approached the counter, eager to connect. "Can I get a coffee, please?" he asked, scanning the room. The patrons exchanged glances, some skeptical of this newcomer clad in tailored clothes. Tom leaned into the moment, sharing light-hearted stories about his hometown and the shenanigans of his youth. A few patrons chuckled, but the laughter quickly mixed with whispers about the seemingly out-of-touch millionaire. It dawned on Tom, an invisible barrier separated him from this working-class community. As the morning wore on, he found himself caught in a conversation with Sarah. Her bright eyes shone as she shared her struggles balancing shifts at the cafe with coursework for her degree in social work. "I just want to help people like my mom," she explained, her passion palpable. Tom felt a pull in his chest, a connection he hadn't felt in ages. The weight of his wealth suddenly felt heavy, yet undeniable hope blossomed in her words that he pondered offering to sponsor her education, his heart aching to help, when the atmosphere shifted. A table of regulars chimed in, their disdain palpable. "We don't need charity from someone like him," one patron sneered. The tension escalated, the cafe's warmth replaced by an icy silence. Tom realized the divide between them ran deeper than he had imagined, a chasm that held his own insecurity at bay. Suddenly, a chaotic crash erupted from the kitchen. An order of plates hit the floor, a kitchen mishap leading to murmurs about the rich man being out of touch with reality. Tom's stomach turned, and he noticed Sarah's face, a painful mix of embarrassment and defiance. The weight of her pride hit him hard. Could he really leverage his wealth to help someone who deserved it solely on merit? Just as Tom was about to reach out, his mind raced with thoughts of his estranged teenage son. Could he be a better father by helping Sarah? Or would that be an overstep? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The cafe felt charged, filled with unresolved tension. Both Tom and Sarah longed for clarity, for an authenticity that bridged their worlds. In that moment, every eye turned to them, and Tom stood at the precipice of a decision that could reshape everything. Would he call out the injustice, push beyond the privilege, and truly connect? Hope flickered, leaving the air heavy with uncertainty. Tom's heart pounded as he felt a wave of all the gazes upon him, heavy and scrutinizing. He glanced at Sarah. In her eyes, he saw a flicker of vulnerability mixed with fierce determination. It struck him how courageous she was, standing tall amidst those who scorned her ambition. "Listen," he began, his voice rising above the soft murmur of the cafe, the clinking of cups barely breaking the tension. "Everyone has the right to chase their dreams, no matter where they come from." The words hung in the air, hopeful yet shaky. He felt a sudden need to defend not only Sarah but everything she represented: hard work, resilience, and love. "I may have money, but that doesn't mean I understand your struggles. I know what it's like to feel alone, to feel different," he continued, glancing at the tablets on the counter, where messages of doubt had been exchanged silently behind his back. Sarah was still, her fingers trembling slightly as she nervously gestured toward her mother. The elderly woman's eyes sparkled with pride, but a shadow of concern crossed her face. Tom could sense that change was possible. He was teetering on a brink, but one small shift could alter all their lives. "Maybe I can help in a way that respects your journey," he suggested, his heart pounding a little harder with each word. "Education should be accessible to anyone willing to work hard for it. If you ever want to talk about your dreams, I'm here. No strings attached, just genuine support." This wasn't charity, it was a bridge across a chasm that had grown so wide over the years. The murmurs subsided, replaced by an uneasy stillness. Tom watched as Sarah processed his words. Would she accept help? Or would the fear of judgment keep her silent? Slowly, Sarah's expression transformed. Her shoulders relaxed, and a hint of curiosity replaced her defiance. "That's really kind of you, Tom," she finally said, her voice soft, almost tentative. "But my mother and I have worked hard to get here. I wouldn't want it to feel like I'm just taking handouts." "I understand," Tom replied, his voice warm and sincere. "My offer comes from a place of respect for you. You're working hard for what you want, and I want to support that." The words felt right, and he knew this was not about him. This was about forging connections, rebuilding lives. Behind him, at the table of skeptics, a few patrons scoffed under their breath. "It'll never work, rich man trying to play hero," one muttered, but Tom felt the scrutiny lessen. He was walking an unsteady line. Would this be a moment of recognition or continued judgment? Sarah exchanged glances with her mother, who nodded slowly. "If the offer is real, maybe there's merit in talking," her mother signed back, her hands trembling with hope. As the smiles returned and conversation resumed, Tom felt lighter. Maybe he wasn't just a millionaire after all. Maybe he could also be an ally. Just as he was about to take a step closer to Sarah, a ringing phone pierced the cafe, causing everyone to jump. Tom felt his heart sink. It was a number he hadn't seen in years, his son's. Could this be a call for help, a chance for reconnecting? Eyes shifted in his direction, and suddenly, the awkward atmosphere of the cafe felt electric again. What if this was the moment everything changed for him, too? Tom's hand trembled as he reached for his phone. It felt like a stone weighing him down. He had played this call over in his mind a million times, imagining how it would go. Would it be a plea for forgiveness? A simple "Dad, I miss you"? Or would it open a door to a past he had buried deep? The cafe faded into a blur as he stared at the screen. The ambient noise of clinking dishes and murmurs became muffled. Only the rhythmic pounding of his heart remained, steady yet frantic. "Tom." Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts, soothing yet uncertain. "Is everything okay?" She stepped closer, concern etched on her face, her mother watching with a cautious gaze. With a deep breath, he cleared his throat. I need to take this." After a nod from Sarah, he stepped outside, the cool air hitting him like a splash of icy water. "Hello," he answered, trying to sound composed. "Dad, it's me." The voice on the other end was shaky, tentatively reaching out through years of silence. "Jordan." The name felt both distant and familiar, like a ghost from his past. His mind raced back to their last heated argument, filled with unspoken words and unresolved tension. "Yeah, it's me." Jordan paused, and Tom could almost hear the weight of his hesitation. "I saw your article in the news. Figured you might be hard to get a hold of." Tom's stomach churned. "I'm surprised you called." "Right. Well, I'm standing at a bit of a crossroads," Jordan said, his voice cracking. "I'd like to talk. Can we meet?" A myriad of emotions roared within Tom. His son was reaching out. This was a chance he never thought would come. But the doubts loomed, shadows lingering from their past. Would this meeting spark hope or ignite old wounds? Of course. "When?" he said, gripping his phone tighter. "Tomorrow," Jordan suggested, uncertainty hanging on each word. At the park. You remember the one? Yeah, I do. I'll be there. Tom hung up, a whirlwind of feelings engulfing him. He stood for a moment outside the cafe, letting the brisk air fill his lungs. He couldn't shake the nervous knot tightening in his chest. When he walked back inside, the cafe felt different. The warmth that once surrounded him now carried a weight of urgency. Sarah and her mother were still there, their eyes filled with expectation. Is everything okay? Sarah asked, her brow furrowed. Better than okay, he managed a smile, though it felt tempered. I have a meeting tomorrow. With my son. There was a brief moment of silence as the word settled. Sarah's eyes widened, a blend of excitement and trepidation flickering in her expression. That's huge, Tom. You must be feeling a lot right now. Yeah, it's a lot to process. His voice was low, raw with emotion. But I also realize that this is just one step. It might lead to more questions than answers. Yeah, but at least it's a step, she echoed softly, her warmth radiating with encouragement. Tom appreciated the moment, feeling a newfound camaraderie with her. There was something powerful in understanding each other's struggles, even across vastly different worlds. Maybe he was more than just a millionaire. This was real emotion, a connection to family, to hope, and potential growth. As they shared a smile, laughter erupted from the table of skeptics. Tom turned, facing the group that had once looked upon him with disdain. Their glares were still there, but now they seemed to carry a hint of reluctant respect. He took a deep breath, his mind racing. Tomorrow would be a day of reckoning, not just for him but for everyone in his life. What if this conversion wasn't just about him and Jordan? What if this was the moment when everything shifted? With his heart swirling with hope and fear, Tom turned to Sarah, determination glimmering in his eyes. What if I could help you with your dreams and face my past at the same time? As she opened her mouth to respond, the cafe door swung open, letting in a rush of wind. In strode a stranger, shrouded in a heavy coat and an aura of urgency, and for a moment, it felt like the cafe and everyone inside held its breath. Tom couldn't shake the feeling that this unexpected visitor would change everything again. What secrets would unfold next? The door swung shut behind the stranger, cutting off the cold air as he stepped further inside. He was tall, with salt and pepper hair and a rugged face marked by time and trouble. A sense of urgency seemed to radiate from him, and all chatter in the cafe hushed, eyes drawn like moths to a flame. Tom felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Who was this man and why did he have the air of someone with a story to tell? The stranger scanned the room, his gaze finally landing on Tom. Their eyes locked, and in a split second, something flickered across the man's face: recognition. Tom's heart skipped a beat. Tom Martinez? The man called out, his voice booming yet somehow tinged with vulnerability. Tom hesitated, uncertainty crashing over him. Yes, that's me, he replied cautiously, anxiety prickling at his skin. I'm Joe, a friend of your dad's. The admission struck Tom like lightning. His father had made a life of keeping people at arm's length, always ensuring his circle remained small and carefully managed. Joe's appearance felt unreal, like a page ripped from a story he'd prefer not to revisit. Dad? He managed through a thick throat, memories of another time flooding his mind. Yeah, he wanted me to find you, Joe said, his tone serious. It's about Jordan. It's important. Tom's heart raced. The mention of Jordan, the son he hadn't seen in years. This was the last thing he'd expected when he stepped into the cafe with a glimmer of hope for tomorrow's meeting. What do you mean? He asked, voice tightening. I can't say much here, Joe replied, glancing around the cafe, where the once alluring ambience now felt suffocating. But it's about his well-being. I think you should hear me out. Tom glanced at Sarah and her mother. They were watching intently, their expressions a mix of curiosity and concern. It felt like everyone in the room was caught in some invisible web, tension thickening the air. "All right, let us step outside." With a nod from Joe, Tom led the way through the café's glass door, squinting against the late afternoon sun. They stood on the sidewalk, the world moving around them as sirens wailed and cars breezed past. "What is going on?" Tom demanded, urgency rising in his chest. He wasn't prepared for this, yet here they were, standing on the precipice of his life unraveling. Joe took a deep breath. "Jordan is struggling. He's made some choices that have him in a bad place. Your father thinks don't talk about my father." The words slipped out, sharp as glass. Bonded by a shared history marked by bitterness, Tom wasn't ready to hear about the man who had abandoned him. "Tom, just listen," Joe pressed. "He's scared. Jordan's been through a lot. And you might be the one who can reach him. He needs a father." The weight of the words hit Tom like a sledgehammer. This was not just about meeting Jordan anymore, this was about intervening in a life at risk. "And how do you know this?" Tom's voice had softened, the anger subsiding as fear reared its head. "I've seen it firsthand," Joe replied, eyes sympathetic yet intense. "Your father didn't give up on Jordan. He wants you both to reconnect before it's too late." If it felt like the ground beneath Tom was shifting earlier, now it felt like it was breaking away entirely. His meeting with Jordan was about healing, about the potential for new beginnings. But now it had transformed into a race against time. "What do I do?" he whispered, eyes wide, desperation clawing at him. "You show up tomorrow." Joe's gaze held steady. "You be there. You have to let him know he's not alone." "Why now? Why not before?" A small silence hung in the air, heavy and weighted. "Sometimes, it takes a stranger to shine light on what we're too afraid to face." Tom could barely catch his breath as the implications settled in his mind. The stakes were higher than he ever imagined, and that glimmer of hope now felt precarious, like a tightrope walk over an abyss. As he looked back at the cafe, his heart raced with possibilities and dread. Tomorrow was supposed to be a step toward redemption, but now it seemed it would be a battle for more than just reconciliation. Standing there with Joe, feeling the weight of the world shift, Tom found himself at another crossroads, where every choice felt magnified, every moment impossibly important. He took a deep breath, determination hardening within him. "I won't let him down." And as Joe nodded in agreement, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting might alter everything in ways he couldn't yet begin to understand. Would he find the courage to face both his son and the father he'd grown up resenting? As shadows lengthened with the setting sun, a chill gripped at Tom's heart. What awaited him at the park? What truths were buried deeper than he was prepared to uncover? The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm orange hue across the busy street. Tom's mind raced, caught between the looming confrontation with Jordan and the bitterness still simmering towards the father he'd always resented. "Tom." Joe's voice broke through his thoughts, steadying him. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." But he wasn't. Doubt zigzagged through his mind like a storm. Would Jordan even want to see him? Would he throw everything back in his face, blaming him for what's wrong in his life? "You look like you're about to bolt," Joe added, concern flashing in his eyes. "I just don't know if I'm ready for this," Tom admitted. The thought of facing Jordan, his heart, his mistakes felt like an anchor pulling him down. Joe crossed his arms, a sympathetic smile in place. "Listen, finding each other after years apart is never easy. But it's a chance you can't let slip away. You know that." Tom nodded, trying to summon the confidence that had fled moments ago. "Right. Because if not me, then who?" "Exactly." Joe stepped forward, placing a hand on Tom's shoulder. "You have to do this, not just for him but for yourself too." Taking a deep breath, Tom felt the knot in his stomach slowly dissipate. He remembered Jordan's laughter, the way his little hands used to grip his tightly when he was scared. "He deserves a shot, doesn't he?" "More than anything," Joe affirmed. You both do. Just remember you're not the same person you were back then, and neither is he. This is a fresh start, even if it's messy. Tom mulled over Joe's words, a mix of fear and hope battling within him. What if he doesn't want to see me? Then you show him, Joe replied firmly. You show him that you care. Just being there will mean the world. With a nod, Tom felt a veil of urgency lift just a little. They stood for a moment in quiet contemplation, the sounds of the bustling street fading as his heart steadied. What about your dad? Tom asked suddenly. Is he okay? Joe's expression faltered slightly. That's complicated. He thought you should know about Jordan. I wanted to reach out to you because well, we both know your father isn't great at expressing himself. Tell me about it, Tom muttered, shaking his head. Just remember, he cares even if he doesn't say it. Tom wanted to believe that. He really did. But the wounds his father had left seemed to fester beneath the surface. Maybe I can forgive him someday, he said reluctantly. But first, I need to focus on Jordan. Joe tilted his head, pride washing over his features. That's the spirit. Just take it one step at a time. Right. One step at a time. Tom felt a flicker of something inside, a blend of courage, determination, and the fierce love he still held for his son. As they turned to leave, Tom felt the profound weight of what lay ahead. Approaching the park the next day could be a defining moment, full of promises and fears. The sun was just about to set, casting long shadows as they walked back towards the cafe. By the way, Joe interrupted, if you need me tomorrow, I'll be around. Thanks, Joe. I'll keep that in mind. Tom turned, his eyes drifting toward the park on the horizon, just as a flicker of something hot and bright lit up the back of his mind. Was there hope on the horizon? Would it be worth all the struggle? As he prepared to face the unknown, a familiar face suddenly flashed through his mind, a face he hadn't seen in far too long. Would he still remember the warmth of their connection? With a hopeful heart, Tom whispered to himself, tomorrow has to be different. But deep down, the question loomed larger than ever. What truths would he uncover when he finally stood face to face with Jordan? Would their meeting heal old wounds, or plunge his heart into deeper despair? Morning broke, illuminating the world with a gentle glow that felt almost surreal. Tom's heart raced as he stood in front of his bathroom mirror, running his fingers through his hair. Today was the day. He didn't want to look in the mirror, but he couldn't help it. He needed that one last pep talk with himself. You can do this, he murmured, his own voice barely audible over the pounding in his chest. The park was just a few blocks away, a place once cherished during simpler times, bubbling with memories of laughter and joy, those daylight hours where he had shared little adventures with Jordan. But today, it felt like a chasm separated the past from what lay ahead. As he stepped outside, the crisp morning air was a stark contrast to the searing heat of uncertainty that simmered within him. He wanted to run, he wanted to hide. It took a monumental effort just to keep walking. The streets buzzed with life, chatter, laughter, a dog barking in the distance. Tom's mind was adrift, the world felt wide but closed off at the same time. He arrived at the park, his heart thumping like a drum in his ears. The vibrant green of the grass and the scent of blooming flowers attempted to soothe his nerves. It was in this familiar setting, he thought, that everything would either come together or shatter. He spotted a bench under a massive oak tree, the one they used to sit on, and took a deep breath, envisioning each moment when they would share their hopes and dreams. Tom. A voice sliced through his thoughts, and he turned, his heart nearly stopping. There stood Jordan, a reflection of himself from years ago, yet distinctly different. He was taller, more defined, but the innocent warmth still shimmered in his eyes like sunlight breaking through clouds. Hey, Tom said, struggling to find his voice. The silence that followed felt deafening. Jordan shifted, awkwardly glancing down at his shoes. You came. Yeah, Tom answered, feeling the gravity of the moment sink in. I needed to. They stared at each other, both lost in a whirlwind of unspoken words. Memories cascaded over them, the good, the bad, and the ones that hurt. It was overwhelming, but here he was, face to face with his son. Jordan's expressions flickered between hope and uncertainty. It mirrored Tom's own feelings, drowned in a climate of vulnerability. "I've thought about this day for a long time," Jordan finally admitted, a nervous smile breaking through. "I didn't know if you'd show up." Tom swallowed hard. "I almost didn't. You could have just left things the way they were." Jordan's voice was low, but the hurt echoed nonetheless. "I know." Silence loomed like a blanket, wrapping them in an emotional embrace that felt both comforting and terrifying. Tom could see the flicker of hurt still lingering in Jordan's eyes. He wanted to reach out, to bridge the distance that time and silence had created. He wanted to explain, to apologize, but words began to fail him. "I just want to understand," Jordan finally said, his voice breaking the tension. "Why now? Why after all this time?" Tom took a deep breath, gathering every word that felt trapped inside him. He opened his mouth, wanting to pour everything out. But a knot tightened in his chest, making it hard to breathe. "Because I was scared. Scared of facing my mistakes. Scared of not being the father you needed." Jordan looked away, processing the weight of Tom's confession. "I need more than just words, Dad. I want to show you. I want to be here. Really here." The tension unwound slightly as Jordan pondered his father's sincerity. "It's going to take time. And I have a lot of questions. Then let us take the first step together." "I'm ready," Tom promised, his conviction sparking upward. As the sun gleamed overhead, both began to feel a glimmer of hope battling against the uncertainty that had long surrounded them. But just then, an unexpected figure caught Tom's attention from the corner of his eye, someone who made his stomach drop and his heart race. The beautiful woman holding a phone, snapping candid snapshots of the park. Was it possible she held secrets of her own that would throw everything they just started into chaos? The woman shifted slightly, capturing images of the sun filtering through the leaves, her smile radiant and carefree. For a split second, time froze for Tom. He recognized her, the features brimming with familiarity, the kind that sends electric shocks of memory up your spine. Sarah. The girl he'd dated before everything spiraled, the one who had crossed his mind countless times over the years. "What's wrong?" Jordan asked, breaking Tom's daze. He followed Tom's gaze and frowned. "Do you know her?" Tom couldn't find the words. His heart raced both from the nostalgia and the apprehension that climbed into his throat. Did Sarah know about Jordan? Tom hadn't considered that possibility. Did he even want to confront the past now? The openness he had painstakingly begun to forge with Jordan felt precarious in the face of lingering ties. Before Tom could respond, Sarah caught sight of him. Her expression shifted from joy to surprise. "Tom." She called, exuding an energy that felt both inviting and terrifying. "Is that you?" Hey, Sarah," Tom stuttered, feeling the weight of his past crash against the fragile moment he was trying to build with his son. He could see the questions whirl in Jordan's eyes. How did she fit into their story? "Long time no see," she said, approaching them, the warmth of her smile somehow managing to slice through the tension. "I thought that guy looked familiar. This is a pleasant surprise." "Yeah, Tom fumbled for words, glancing at Jordan's unreadable face. "This is my son, Jordan." "Wow," she exclaimed, her eyes widening as they flitted between Tom and Jordan. "He's growing up so fast. You must be proud, Tom." Tom felt a rush of gratitude at her kindness juxtaposed with the weight of regret. "I'm trying to be," he said, stealing a glance back at Jordan. Jordan's brow furrowed, absorbing the entire moment. "What were you doing here?" he asked Sarah, his voice firm. Sarah chuckled lightly, not sensing the underlying tension. "Just getting some photos for my blog about the park." It's beautiful today, isn't it? Tom saw the bitterness in Jordan's expression blossom momentarily. To him, this encounter was a diversion, a sudden shift in what could have been an honest conversation. Or maybe it was a thread interwoven with their past that he hadn't anticipated, bringing everything back into chaos. Look, I didn't mean to interrupt, Sarah said, sensing the charged atmosphere. I'll let you two catch up. It was really great to see you, Tom. She turned to leave, but Tom realized the chance to connect was slipping away again. Wait. He called out, desperate to anchor the moment again, to understand if she could provide insight into who he had been. Are you free for a coffee? We could catch up a little. Jordan shot him a look, a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. Tom's heart thudded as he made the invitation. Part of him wanted to go backward for a moment, but another part wanted to hold his ground with his son. Sarah paused, surprised, then nodded hesitantly. Sure, she said, glancing at Jordan uncertainly before adding, I'd love to. As they walked toward a nearby cafe, Tom felt a whirlwind of emotions surge. Would this be a chance to bring his past to the present, or a tangled mess that would ruin everything? It was in that moment he noticed a glimmer in Jordan's eye, a mix of apprehension and curiosity. Would this surprise reunion with someone from his past help bridge the gap between him and his son, or deepen the chasm he was trying so hard to close? The questions buzzed in the air like bees around a blooming flower, but for Tom, one thing was certain, he was going to face whatever came next head-on. And as they stepped into the cafe, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change again. The cafe door chimed softly as they entered, a reminder of the world outside. The smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, warm and inviting, but a thick tension hung between them. Tom glanced at Jordan, who was still processing the sudden appearance of Sarah. They found a small table in the corner, away from the bustling crowd. Tom sat across from Sarah, while Jordan settled next to him, his expression a mix of intrigue and unease. The waitress approached, her smile friendly but distracted, taking their orders quickly. Once she left, the silence grew heavy, and Tom's heart raced louder than before. So, how have you been? Sarah asked, her eyes shining with genuine curiosity. Busy, Tom replied, trying to keep it light. Life has been complicated. Jordan shifted uncomfortably, clearly wanting to know more, yet hesitant to pry. Sarah's smile faltered slightly, sensing the unspoken tension in the room. I get that. It isn't easy growing up these days, she said, focusing her attention on Jordan, as if searching for common ground. Jordan's gaze met hers, the weight of her words latching onto something deep inside him. Yeah, it's a lot, he said, his voice softening. You know, sometimes I feel like I don't really know my dad at all. The words hung in the air, a painful truth threading through the moment. Tom felt the sharp sting of that admission. It cut deeper than he expected. He wanted to explain, to dive right into the years that had separated them. Jordan, he started, but Sarah interrupted. You're not alone, she said, her gaze shifting sympathy toward both of them. Communication can be tough. I learned that the hard way. Tom's heart raced. Was she talking about their story? The past they shared? The silence that had grown between him and Jordan now felt like a chasm he needed to cross. He wanted to tell Sarah that he was trying, that he was learning how to be a better father. Sarah, do you? Tom hesitated, unsure how to weave his thoughts together. Do you remember what it was like for us? How hard things got? Her expression darkened for a moment, unearthing a shared history that neither wanted to revisit too deeply in such a vulnerable moment. We were kids, Tom, she said gently, but passionately, and we got swept up in our dreams and fears. I think it's a lot different when you're older, but the emotions, they stay with you. Jordan watched, alternating his gaze between his father and Sarah, picking up on the underlying currents. He was intrigued, but still guarded. Is that why you left? He finally asked Sarah, his voice a low murmur, breaking the tension draping over the table. Tom held his breath, bracing for whatever answer was to come. Sarah swallowed hard. It was complicated. I needed to find out who I was away from everything I thought I knew. The waitress returned with their orders, saving them momentarily from answering. Tom sipped his coffee, the bitter taste grounding him. Jordan broke the silence again, his young voice carrying a weight far beyond his years. I just want to know my dad, the real one. Tom felt a lump in his throat. He was trying to be that person, to tear down the walls of the past, but every word felt like a step into the unknown. Maybe I could help with that, Sarah said softly, the warmth returning to her tone. Reconnecting usually starts with understanding the past. The glimmer in Jordan's eyes suggested the conversation was shifting to a place he hadn't anticipated. Could their shared past hold the keys to building a stronger connection in the present? As they continued talking, Tom began to realize that bridges could be built, but only if he was willing to cross into the heart of what was unspoken. But would the courage of reminiscing lead them further apart, or could it perhaps strengthen the bond between a father and son? With every passing second, the air thickened around them, charged with possibilities, as real as the steam rising from their coffee cups. And in that small cafe, where memories intertwined with hopes, Tom knew one thing for certain: something was about to unravel. Would they find the courage to look deeper into each other's hearts, or was it too late to rewrite their story? Tom shifted in his seat, the weight of Sarah's words lingering in the air. There was a crack forming in the wall he had built over the years, and he could feel the tension melting slightly. Jordan's eyes darted between him and Sarah, filled with questions yet unasked. What's it like? Jordan broke the silence, his youthful curiosity shining through. To find yourself? It was a question no one saw coming, yet there it was, raw and open. Sarah smiled softly, but her gaze turned thoughtful, as if searching for the right way to explain a complex journey. It's overwhelming at first, she began, her voice steady now. You think you have it all figured out. But then, life shows you the parts that were missing. She glanced at Tom, the connection sparking again. It's like piecing together a puzzle that never really fit. Tom followed her metaphor, his mind racing with images, moments of lost time, choices made, paths diverged. And did you find those missing pieces? He asked, wanting to know what she had discovered in her own journey. I'm still finding them, she replied, her honesty disarming. Jordan leaned in, his elbows resting on the table, interest piqued. Do you ever regret anything? The innocence behind the question hit like a gentle punch, causing the air to once again thicken. Tom flinched at the thought of regret, his own regrets, especially when it came to Jordan. It was a vast landscape filled with mistakes and missed opportunities. Silence swallowed the space as Sarah weighed her answer. Regrets are tough, she finally said, her voice softening. But each mistake teaches you something. I think they make you who you are. Tom's heart clenched at her words. Could he share that vulnerability? Jordan, I've made my share of mistakes too. I kept trying to be someone I thought you needed. But in doing that, I sometimes lost sight of who I really am. Jordan's brow furrowed, processing his father's admission. So, what does that mean? Who are you really? Tom took a deep breath, searching for the right words. I'm trying to be honest, to be present, he said finally. But it's hard. I want you to see me, flaws and all. I'm still learning, just like you. The weight of that moment settled gently around them, and for the first time in a long while, Tom felt a glimmer of connection with his son. It wasn't a solution, but it was a start. Sarah's eyes met Tom's, conveying a silent understanding. Family's all about what we learn together, she added. And through those lessons, we can find strength. Just then, the waitress returned again, her smile brightening the mood temporarily. Are you all enjoying your coffee? She asked, breaking the tension with lightness. A nod of appreciation from Jordan, and even a small smile from Tom, reminded him of the small joy found in the routine of ordinary moments. After the waitress left, a new current of nervous energy coursed through the table. Jordan's look urged them back to the deeper conversation. So, if we're talking about being real, what do we do next? Tom's heart skipped. Here they were, standing on the brink of something significant. Next, he said carefully, maybe we explore these memories together. Like Sarah said, understanding the past could help us build something new. A flicker of hope ignited in Jordan's eyes. And what about? He hesitated, clearly going to tread on delicate ground. What about Sarah? Both Tom and Sarah fell silent, the implications of that question hung between them. Sarah's past intertwined with Tom's, and now it seemed to be on the verge of influencing Jordan's future. Maybe, Sarah spoke after a beat, her voice warm yet cautious. Maybe I could share some stories. Not to change anything but to understand where we all came from. Tom's thoughts raced. Together, they could explore the landscape of shared history, of decisions made and paths chosen. I think that could work, he said, the determination settling in his chest. But the uncertainty still loomed. Could they really navigate through the twisted paths of the past? Or would they find themselves lost in the very stories that had once pulled them apart? And with that looming question in the air, the cafe door chimed again, and Tom's heart quickened. The door swung open, and all eyes turned to see who would enter next. A fresh wave of sunlight poured in, illuminating the space. In walked a woman, sharply dressed yet radiating warmth. Her presence filled the room, instantly shifting its energy. Tom! She called, her voice a melody that resonated with familiarity and warmth. Tom's breath caught in his throat. It was Jennifer, his high school mentor, the very woman who had inspired him to chase dreams rooted deeper than money. Jennifer! What are you doing here? He stood, surprise flaring in his chest. She walked briskly toward him, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. I was in town and just had to stop by. I heard you were making waves. She beamed, but her expression shifted, sensing the weight around him. Are you okay? Tom hesitated, the wall he built around his emotions cracking ever so slightly. I'm working on it. Just reuniting with Jordan. And, well, Sarah's here too. He gestured over to the small table. Jennifer's eyes darted toward them, the realization dawning. Ah, the past, huh? Great stories usually intertwine over coffee, don't they? Her warmth felt like a shimmering thread connecting all their fragments. Jordan made eye contact with Tom, still processing this added layer of their narrative. Tom could see that his son sensed the shift, the trajectory of each new word framing hope amidst the complexities. How about we all grab a table? Jennifer suggested, the infectious energy of her caring nature overcoming apprehension. I can't wait to hear what you've all been discussing. With a collective nod, they moved to a larger table, purposely legs crossed under a shared weight, but hearts slowly uncoiling, eager to learn and connect. Tom sunk into a chair across from Jordan, who appeared a little more at ease now. Sarah hovered near him, also finding comfort in Jennifer's presence. Tell me how this reunion is going, Jennifer said, her gaze steady on Tom and Jordan. I know it must be hard. Tom took a deep breath, the warmth of her acceptance soothing his nerves. It's tough to pull back the layers. I've lost years that I can't get back, and Jordan deserves a father who knows him. Jennifer nodded in understanding. Regrets can't define who you are. They can shape the future, but real strength comes from addressing them, as you're doing now. Maybe we can all learn together, Jordan chimed in, genuinely curious. What about you, Sarah? What journeys brought you back? Their eyes pivoted toward Sarah, and as she began to share her own story, the battles, the wins, and personal growth, they felt a shared breath, a collective smile in those words. The air thickened with dreams of a new collaborative story rather than remnants of their past. Tom felt his heart swell as he watched the connections deepen. Jordan and Sarah laughed easily now, finding common ground in shared experiences. Each shared story crackled with life, a fusion of hopes and vulnerabilities creating a new tapestry of understanding that granted them permission to heal. Everyone's journey is a lesson, Jennifer added, her voice wrapping around them like a protective hug. I always believed that real beauty lies in collaboration and the strength to share our vulnerabilities. As they framed their laughing stories over drinks, Tom felt moments slipping by, feeling lighter than he had in years. Hope swirled around them like confetti dancing in the air. When the conversation eventually turned back to Tom, he could feel the moment compress into something palpable. Jordan, I want to say I'm sorry. I can't change the past, but I can promise I want to be here, moving forward. Not just as your dad, but as someone you can count on. Jordan met his gaze, something profound shifting in his demeanor. That's all I want. A chance to get to know you and for you to know me. And whatever comes of us past has no hold. Let us start fresh. Tom's heart soared. What was once a mountain of uncertainty now transformed into a springboard of hope. The moment felt electric, filled with possibilities that promised healing. Suddenly Jordan turned to Sarah, heartened by her earlier words, and if we're going to do this right, I want us to remember that communication is important. Let us promise to always be real, through everything, right? Justin and Sarah exchanged glances and nodded, commitment etched in their expressions. Right, Sarah echoed, a confident, playful smile emerging, an affirmation of a new beginning as strong as their mutual laughter. Tom realized, standing there among lively exchanges, that they had simply unveiled new chapters, not just for him, but for everyone at the table. Today would be the first of many steps toward building connections, his with Jordan, and a blossoming friendship with Sarah that could mirror that of family. Maybe it's time for all of us to embrace what we've done and who we are, flaws and everything, Tom suggested, his voice growing even as excitement brewed within them all. Let us make new memories, together. As the four of them clinked their cups together, laughter echoed through the cafe, layering warmth across each table, and lighting up the corners of the room. The past wasn't gone, it had morphed into a guiding light, not a shadow, and that new friendship brimmed with promise. As they settled into genuine connection, a sense of home enveloped them. As Tom looked into the eyes of his son, something magnificent stirred, ready to embrace the journey ahead without fear, and as the world buzzed around them, Tom could only smile, filled with that intangible hope that whispered, this is just the beginning. Now, before you close this chapter and step into your own journeys ahead, I need you to do something important. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that could transform your life. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and support our growing community. Comment below and share your feelings about this powerful ending. Your voice matters. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to feel this inspiration. Together we grow, together we build. The future is brighter with you on board.